Ideas, imagination, inspiration, MacroWorld. Here's your host, Ray Scott.
Great to see that you're back for another episode. Do you have an area in your home, maybe a room or maybe just a corner in a room where you like to maybe read or listen to music? Well, you're a photographer, so that means you are, by definition, an artistic type, I think. So there's a good chance that that is going on in your home. What we're going to do today, and also in the next video, is we're going to create images that we feel comfortable enough to put up on the wall in that area where we like to read or maybe listen to music. Now, of course, there's going to be a theme here, and in the video today, our theme is reading. Now, it's a little bit difficult when you think about it, because the obvious thing, I suppose, if we're going to be looking at maybe books, is the idea maybe is to stack them and take an image like that, or there's all kinds of different things you can do, and they're all very valid and they're all lots of fun and very good. But today we are going to be doing it macro style, so there are going to be some challenges involved. Now, as always, composition is a big factor, but within all of that, lighting is going to be crucial, and so is depth of field. Now today, as I said before, we're not going to stack books or anything like that. We're just going to use one, and we're going to use this book. Why? I like it because it is thick, and you don't have to have a thick book, but it's going to help. You're going to see why. And the other thing is that it's not smooth. The sides of it aren't smooth. The pages aren't smooth. There's a lot of texture there. And you're going to see where the lighting is going to bring out the texture. And it's all going to be part of our final product. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. I mean, books, macro style. Not only macro style, but abstract macro, where it is going to be abstract enough that you first look at it and not quite know what it is, but then you'll be able to figure it out and say, hey, that's a book, that's kind of cool. It can be up on your wall and can really make that reading and music area of your home very, very cozy. So let's take a look at the setup and what we need to do, and let's get going on it.
First up, we have the book being lit on the left-hand side, the main light, and then there's a fill light that you can't see. It's outside of the frame, but it is filling in light on the right-hand side. If you've been following me on this channel or my other channel, Visual Art Photography, for any amount of time, you know that often I like to show you the journey that I'm on to get to the images that I really like in the end. So in this one, my goal was to show a book in an abstract kind of way. And I thought, something, I'll start off by showing part of the cover as well as the actual pages of the book. It really didn't do it for me. And look at it. This is a really old book, by the way. This book, you can see the dust and a little bit of fabric and stuff going on and that sort of thing, even though I had cleaned it up a little bit. But anyway, I thought maybe if I showed the corner of the book and the way it was fraying, that might be kind of nice and everything, but it just didn't do it for me. But I will point out to start with that this first shot was taken with light coming in from the left-hand side, and also there was light coming in, a weaker light coming in from the right-hand side. Was a bit of a fill light, okay? So that's what I started with. I then moved down and got rid of the cover, and I just started working on the pages. And this is what I was talking about off the top of the show, how important it is to have pages that have variation, that are not all flat. This way you get to see some texture in it, all right? So shot at f/22, you can see what I was focusing on, the corner of the book, well lit on one side, fill light on the other side, and it goes off into out of focus, okay? Even at f/22, because I was so close. Here, you see it shot at f2.8, which is the shallowest aperture on my macro lens. Now you've just got a slice. That's it. You've got the corner, and the rest just goes out into a fog, all right? Now, this may or may not be an effect that you like, but something to be aware of if you want something that really looks very, very abstract. Here, I decided to use F22 again, but what I did was I kept the light on the left on, and I took off all the light on the right-hand side. I know it doesn't look appreciably different than the first setup, but trust me when I say that the only light shining is the one from the left. There is no fill light on the right, and that's why you're going to have a deep shadow on the right-hand side of that book. So I wanted something a little bit more dramatic, and I think I achieved it. There's just enough light on the right-hand side to know what's going on a little bit as it goes off into the dark, but it's very bright on the other side. All these shots so far have been taken color, and now I shifted to something a little bit different. This is black and white, and from here on in they will be black and white. Now, this is just the book standing on end, and I've got light coming in not only from the left-hand side, but also in the back a little bit. So it's kind of backlit a little bit. And here you see it, the light on the left and to the back, just a wee bit. And it's just the book standing up, and I've got it coming just a 90-degree angle to the corner. That's it, simple as that. Didn't really do anything for me, but I just thought, hey, I'll try it anyway. But back to something that I was looking at right now. Black and white. Believe it or not, f32, that's right, I'm using an aperture of f32. And some people will tell you, well, it's too small an aperture, your lens won't work well and it won't look right and everything like that. But I had no problem with mine, so I was using f32. I'm up really close here, by the way, on this book. And you can look at the very top there. You can see the dust and stuff. Like I said, I tried to clean this book, but there were still bits and particles and lint and things like that because the book is so old. All right. This was a start. It wasn't what I was looking for. It was a start. This was a little bit more like it. As I changed the angle, I moved up on the book and shot down a little bit. You have that diagonal, which is always a dynamic element in photography. You can see the pages going down, and then you can see the top of the book going off to the right. And I thought, this is pretty good. Now, by the way, this is lit again with light from the left and also fill light from the top and on the right. So you can see everything pretty much. But what about if you take that light off again on the right and you just let the light stream in from the left? What do you get? Okay, so enough light on the top, it's dark, but there's enough light that you can see what's going on, but it's a little bit more dynamic with this bright light coming in from the left-hand side. But it's to taste. I mean, you may prefer something like this or something like this, but it's still, I was getting somewhere, but it still wasn't what I was looking for. So moved in a little bit closer and came up on top of it. So now you've got the light from the left-hand side showing the front of the book, the pages, and then it's dark on top of the book, but you can still see a little bit of what's going on, and you've got that dynamic diagonal. So I always love using diagonals. Different effect. I'm getting closer to what I want. So back to the front of the book, but now we've changed the angle a little bit so that you've got a line going basically horizontally across. But more importantly, what you've got is you've got a separation in the pages. And that adds a little bit of interest to the whole thing. Again, lit with only one light coming in from the left-hand side. Now, it's important too to mention that light coming in from the side means that it's creating shadows, and then you're picking up all of the different textures and even depths and things like that. This one shot at f32 again, as the past few ones have been. But look at that. You've got that chasm, that cavern of blackness in there between those pages. And it adds a sense of mystery to the whole thing, and also some character as well. What about if we shuffle those pages around just a little bit more? And now you have two openings, and you've even got a little bit of a bent page there. And that adds something else to look at and for your eye to move around the image with. It's just, it's great stuff. And all of these shots, for me, and for what I'm trying to do in my little corner of my home and to add some comfort, these are images that for me, I can print these and I can put one or two of them up and so on. But we're getting to stuff I like even more in just a moment. But okay, now you have more things, more little black slices as the pages have come apart a little bit more. But look at the texture again. You can see almost each individual page, and that's because the light is coming in from that. It's just raking across. And if the light was straight on, you wouldn't see any of that detail. But because it's coming in from the left, you're seeing the shadows, and you're seeing each individual page and each piece of lint and everything else that's going on. Oh yeah, let me point out. Let's go back. F32, okay? But if you want to have that slice effect again, F2.8. Okay, so it's just that horizontal line going across that top of the book that is in focus and everything else is out of focus, going down to the bottom and going up to the top. Okay, depth of field, really important. Depends on what effect you want. You might want something in between F2.8 and F32. You know what I mean? So totally up to you. And again, slightly different dynamic. And you see on the right-hand side, you can start to see some of the print, okay, in that page. Now let's talk about that a little bit more coming up in a moment. Now we're getting to something I really like. Here's the book standing on end with the light coming in at a severe angle on the left-hand side. This is what I ended up liking the most in terms of the composition and in terms of the black and white and aspect to it and the texture and everything. I just really like this. This is the very face of it. There's no top of the book. There's no bottom. There's just straight on, and you can see the pages as they fall in whatever way they're going to fall. And you know something? Totally simple. It's just, but for me, abstract, you first look at this and what's that? Oh, yeah, it's a book. And it really does it for me. Now, watch this. Different image. Now you can see the writing in the book. Now, I happen to like that, all right? Shot at f32, actually f22. I happen to like that, seeing that writing. That just, to me, shows you that it really is a book right away, kind of. But if you don't like that effect and you want it to be even a little bit more abstract, use a shallower aperture like f2.8 and watch what happens. The same shot, but a different aperture, different depth of field. Watch. Gone. Okay? It just softens the whole thing out. All you have is the very front in focus and everything else is out of focus. Let's go again. Take a look. f22, you see the writing? f2.8. Gone. Just depends on the effect. It'll be really interesting to see what you do with your book and with your project, different angles. It's limitless. So have a lot of fun with it.
Go crazy, go nuts, do it any way that works for you. But getting in close on a book can be really, really interesting in MacroWorld. As I mentioned at the top of the show, next time we're going to be taking a look at something else that can go in that little reading and music area of your home. I'm Ray Scott, and remember, shoot small, but think big.